Hello everyone. Today we will see lab exercise 3 with name Android Activity Life Cycle. In Android Activity Life Cycle, it is controlled by 7 methods. Methods means functions of a class called as the activity, and this activity class is contained in android.app package, right? Then Android activity is a subclass or a derived class of the context theme wrapper base class. So as shown in the particular diagram, this is the hierarchy of the inheritance for activity class. It means uppermost base class is object, from object context class is derived, from context wrapper class is derived, and from context wrapper class context theme wrapper class is derived, and finally from context theme wrapper class activity class is derived. And in our user applications or developer applications, this activity class is used to build our own application as per our requirement. Now in Android, an activity is nothing but it is a single screen, and it is like a window or a frame in the Java. Okay. So by the help of activity, various user interface controls like your text boxes, labels, check boxes, radio buttons, drop down list, then pop-up windows. There are a number of UI controls or UI components in Android, and all these UI components can be placed in a single screen using an activity. Now Android activity goes through the certain number of steps throughout its life cycle, or you can say Android activity goes through the number of states through its life cycle, and this life cycle is controlled by 7 callback methods of the Android framework or Android SDK. This is a flowchart which shows the Android activity life cycle. So first, whenever activity is launched, now how activity is launched? From our mobile screen, when we tap on the icon of any particular Android application, then that particular activity is launched, right? After activity is launched, then the first function which is called is that onCreate function, right? In C, C++ or Java, entry point of a program is a main function. Similarly here in Android, entry point of an Android program is the onCreate function of that particular activity. Then after onCreate function is called, next function is that is onStart function, and this onStart function is called when activity is becoming visible to the user. It means yet activity is not visible to the user, but to become a visible, this process of becoming visible is in progress, and at that time onStart function is called. Then onResume. This onResume function is called when activity is visible to the user and user is interacting with the activity, or activity is interacting with the user. Okay. So when activity is totally visible to the user, then onResume function is called, and after onResume function is called, then activity is in running state, right? Then after activity is running, sometimes an Android application may contain more than one activities, right? And depending upon the functionality of the application, sometimes a user need to switch between activities, or user need to go from one activity to the another activity. In that case, activity 1 will go to the background and activity 2 will come in the foreground, right? And in that case, whenever particular activity goes to the background, then first of all onPause function is called. It means onPause function is called when activity is not visible to the user. right? And in the case where activity had sent to the background by the user, then after some time when the user returns to that particular activity, right, user returns to that particular activity which was sent to the background in previous case, then in that case again on resume function is called, and then activity will be visible to the user again. Then next, onStop function. Okay, this onStop function is called when the activity is no longer visible to the user. It means difference between on pause and on stop is that whenever activity has been sent to the background, then before sent to the background, first of all on pause function is called, and then it has sent to the background. Okay, so while going to the background, first of all on pause function is called, and then on stop function is called. It means when on stop function is called, activity is no longer visible to the user, it is completely sent to the background. Okay, and after some time, if again the user interact with that particular activity which was sent to the background in previously, then in that case on restart function is called, and then after on restart function, on start function is called, and then again on resume function is called, and then again activity is visible to the user. Okay, one more step is missing here. At this on pause state and on stop state, if some other applications which has the higher priority than the application to which this particular activity belongs, right? If such a higher priority application is there in a Android operating system, then the current application process is killed. Okay, and application has been killed there, and there is no visible activity to the user. Okay, and when application is killed, then again user interact to the activity. It means again user tap on the icon of that particular activity, and again same process is repeats here. On create, on start, on resume activity is visible here. Okay, in both cases when on pause and on stop function is called, and there is another application with higher priority, in that case only. Okay, now on restart function. So this on restart function is called when the stopped activity or the activity which has been sent to the background has been restarted again. But in this particular case, it is required that your application should have at least 2 activities, right? If your application contains only one activity, then this on restart function never been called. When it is called, when user switches from one activity to another activity, for example activity 1 and activity 2, there are 2 activities in a particular Android application, and when user switches from activity 1 to activity 2, in that case activity 1 will be sent to the background and activity 2 will be at the foreground. But again after some time, if user switches from activity 2 to activity 1, in that case this on restart function is called, right? It means suppose currently here at this particular time activity 1 is in foreground. It means it is currently running, and now user switches from activity 1 to activity 2. Okay, in this particular process, so here in this particular process on pause function is called for activity 1, then on stop function is called again of activity 1, and then on restart function is called of activity 2. It means on restart function of activity 2 is called, and then on start function or method of activity 2 is called. Likewise, on resume of method of the activity 2 is called, and activity 2 will be visible here, and activity 1 will be sent to the background. Okay. In this way, activity switching between activity has been performed in the Android application. Right. Then last function which is called as on destroy function, and this function is called before activity is been destroyed. It means activity is finishing or being destroyed by the system. Okay. Now if user exits from that particular application, then on destroy function is called and activity has been shut down. So in this way, every Android activity goes through these 7 methods or 7 states during its lifetime. Okay. Now we will see the implementation of Android activity life cycle. Right. So here I have developed one application whose name is Hello World, but I have modified its main activity code as which is visible on the screen now. So here under app, under Java folder, under this first package main activity .java file is there, and in this is the source code of any activity, and under res or resource folder, in that under layout folder activity underscore main.xml, this file defines the actual layout of the that particular activity, means how that activity should be shown to the user, means which controls or which component should be there on that activity. It is defined in this layout file or XML file. We have seen this in the first practical as well. Again, this XML file has two views, text view and design view. Currently we are in text view, right? And if you see its design view, it looks like this one, right? So name of the application is activity lifecycle, and here at the center I have taken one text view, that is Android activity lifecycle demo. So code is here, it is related to layout. Regarding layouts, we will see in the another practical. There are 5 types of layouts, but currently you remember this is a relative layout, and in relative layout we have taken one text box or text view. Okay, and its text property is set to the Android activity lifecycle demo, which is shown in this particular screen area. Now why this is shown in this particular screen area and in this color and it is bold, because we have used different properties in this particular XML file. Okay, so its ID is text2, then Android underscore text color, we have given a text color like this code, which is something like dark pink. Then we have given text size of 55 dp and text style equal to bold. Okay, and text alignment is as a center, and layout underscore center horizontal and center vertical is set to the true. It means it will display your text horizontally, display your text as center in horizontal direction as well as in vertical direction. That is why this activity Android activity lifecycle demo text is shown in the center of the activity. Okay, so these are the contents of the layout file. It means activity underscore main.xml file. One more thing, this background is light purple, and this is achieved by using this particular attribute. So it is Android underscore background is equal to this particular hex code, color code. Right, now this color code are available on the internet. You can search regarding Android color codes, then there are a number of websites that will provide you the ready-made color with this particular hex code. Okay, so this was about the contents of layout file. Now we will move towards the main activity.java file, which is the source file of this particular application. As usual, there are some classes are imported here, and this is the package in which this particular application is contained. Now this main activity is inherited from the activity class, which is the inbuilt class or built-in class in the Android. Okay, and then we have defined one string variable which is initialized with the Android and colon. Okay, now whatever 7 methods we have seen in the theoretical explanation, all these 7 methods we have implemented here. So first method is called as the onCreate method. This is the onCreate method. Now see its contents. In onCreate method, it calls the onCreate method of this super class, it means base class, and then next statement is the set content view. So the task of set content view is that when this function is called, an activity class loads all the user interface components using the file or using the layout file which is available in res/layout folder of the project. It means in this case this is res, this layout, and this activity underscore main.xml, which is this one which we have recently seen. Okay, and this looks like this one. It means we have a single screen and we have only one text, that is Android activity lifecycle demo. Okay, so whenever this function set content view function is called, it sets all these components to this particular Android activity. Right, and then to know which function or which method is called, we are using a log function of the log class or d function of the log class. Okay, so this d method of the log class simply displays whatever string we have given in this particular parameters list, right. So in onCreate method we are displaying a message as a log.d message means this is string we have assigned to the Android and colon. So it will display Android colon the onCreate event, right. So whenever this onCreate function is called, this message will be displayed as a log in the log file. Similarly, next function is the onStart. Again, onStart function calls the onStart method of its base class, and here we have displayed a log message that is on the onStart event. Similarly, for the onResume method, we have displayed a log which displays the onResume event. For onPause, the message displayed is the onPause event. Okay, so implementation is very simple. There is only one statement, that is the log statement, and each and every this callback method calls the same method of its base class using super keyword. And last function is called as the onDestroy. So onDestroy also calls the onDestroy function of its base class using super keyword, and in this particular function, whenever this function is called, this log message will be displayed in the log window. The destroy event. Okay, this is the simple code of this particular Android activity life cycle. Okay, now we will move to the manifest file. Of this particular manifest file of this particular application. So here any Android application can have one or more activities without any restrictions depending upon the requirement of that particular application, and every activity which you define for your application must be declared in your Android manifest.xml file. This actually we have seen in this aspect in the first practical, that is Hello World application as well. Okay, and then the main activity of your application must be declared in the manifest file with intent filter. Okay, with intent filter that includes this main action, right, this main action. And another important aspect is that it should also include launcher category. This is action, this is a category. So launcher category. Okay, if your main, if either main action, which means this one, or either launcher category are not declared for one of your activities in the manifest file for your activities, then your application icon will not appear in the home screen of your mobile phone or of your emulator's home screen, right? So remember this, these are the very important things, and remember this very carefully. Now we will run the application. To run the application, go to your main activity.java file, and from there click on the run application icon button, this green arrow. Okay, now if you click on this particular run application, then it will take a lot of time depending upon even size of RAM of your PC or laptop. That's why I have already started the emulator here, which is this one. Now I simply run this application. Okay, but problem is that here this particular log messages are to be observed or are to be seen, and answer is that every Android Studio has a feature that is called as the Android monitor, which locates at the bottom. So here is the Android monitor. So click on this, it will open the Android monitor window, right? Now I will run this application. I will select the same AVD here. It means this one, this name and this name should be same. Okay, so application is running and all your log will be seen in this particular window. Now you observe this particular emulator screen. Still APK is not created. As soon as APK will be created, then your application will be automatically started, right? Okay, APK is created and your application is in foreground. It means it is visible to the user. Now look at this contents. Okay, so here is our log messages. Okay, so first one, it means at first time Android colon the onCreate event. It means first of all this function is called whenever this activity is launched. First of all this onCreate function is called, and then onStart function is called, which is this one. It means activity is going to visible to the user, and then onResume function is called. which is this one, okay, the on-resume event. And when on-resume event function is called, when activity is visible to the user, it means activity is interacting with the user. Now this activity is visible to us or user, that's why this on-resume function is called. Okay. Now click on this log button, it means middle button, and observe what happens. So I will click on this button, and here observe the log messages. Which functions are called here? Now here activity has been sent to the background. So first of all, on pause function is called, and then on stop function is called. So when on pause function is called, it is called when the another activity is taking focus. In our application, we have only one activity. Okay, that is why application has gone to the background, and home screen of the emulator or phone is visible now. That's why first of all on pause function is called, and then currently activity is not visible to the user or us, that's why this on stop, here is on stop, here this on stop function is called. It means the activity is no longer visible to us. Okay, now we will again bring our activity to the foreground. So for that, click on this particular button and click on the activity screen. Again activity has come to the foreground, and observe the event message, actually log messages here. Okay, so before coming to the foreground, first of all on start function is called and on resume function is called. Okay, and as I said earlier, this on resume function will be never called in our application, because in our application we have only one activity, and to call this particular on resume function, at least there should be two activities in your application. Right, now I will exit this activity by pressing this button. Okay, and observe what will be the log messages. Right, so log messages here. First of all, on pause function is called, then on stop function is called, and lastly on destroy function is called. It means your activity has been destroyed at this particular moment. Again, if I click on this particular application, this is that one an activity lifecycle demo. Again it will be in foreground, and again same series of function will be called here, which is on create, on start, and on resume. Okay, so in this way the 7 callback methods or 7 states controls the behavior of any Android activity. Right, now what is your exercise is that you implement this Android application same as I have shown you in this particular video lecture, right, and then you have to go to the Google Classroom and you have to type or paste your source code of this main activity.java file, then Android manifest.xml and main activity underscore main.xml file. Okay, this is about source code, and about output or log messages you have to copy and paste this particular log messages as a output. Okay, this is source code and this is the output, and again you have to write some theory that will that I will give details in the handout which will be in the Google Classroom. right? So thank you for listening. We'll stop here.